But there's also ways to empower, enable, to supplement ministry, and we're going to hear about that next. And Sharon, I think you're going to introduce this topic, and Ryan will tell us more.
Hi again. Our East Central Ontario Regional Council is excited to launch a pilot project with Rural Connect. We have 3 units that can be loaned out. They can be used for Sunday worship, community events, or to have more than one location gathered together for an event. This could allow for smaller numbers for safety. We're going to get Reverend Ryan McNally to tell us more about Rural Connect.
Thanks, Sharon. I'm just going to pull out one microphone, one earbud. So Rural Connect, I'll just give you a little bit of history about it, and then we're going to watch a brief video that I put together. I've just come back off a bereavement leave for a week, so I'm a little bit disorganized, but it starts out as an experiment by some churches in the Thunder Bay area with the idea of how could you use the internet to worship together. And this is about around 2007. So that's quite, it was a quite novel idea at the time. And a number of churches over the years became involved, worshiping together on different kinds of schedules throughout northwestern Ontario, well into northeastern Ontario as well. So from Thunder Bay basically to Chapleau, for those who know that geography. Then out of the General Council 43, there were a number of proposals that were asking questions about how the church at large could support rural and remote congregations. I think in this area, a lot of our communities our rural congregations are close together, but that is not the case across most of the country. And so Rural Connect became a program of EDGE, the EDGE network, and it collects, basically the idea is you have two groups of churches that are working together. One group is a host church or a hub, and a hub, to explain it simply, it basically has a mini TV studio set up in the sanctuary. Your sanctuary becomes a TV studio in a way. And so that's what's happened at St. Mark's in Canifton, just outside of Belleville. We have a multi-camera system. We're going to be getting a new soundboard coming in the next couple of months. Of course, everything's back ordered because it's out on boats in the Pacific Ocean. And your hubs act as the coordinator for the worship service, the interactive worship service. The others, the partners or the satellites, they each have a box. The boxes Sharon's are talking about. These boxes have everything in it that you would need to join into that interactive worship. So it has its own Wi-Fi connection on the Rogers network. It has a camera. It has its own sound system and a codex and all these other gizmos that you really don't have to know about. All you have to know how to do to use one of these boxes, these satellites in a congregation, is basically plug it in and turn it on, because it can be controlled remotely from St. Mark's, from a hub anywhere. So we've done a few worship services with other congregations as we all worship together interactively. And probably this is the moment to show the video that brings some of that together so you get a sense of what it's like to worship across a large area.
Sorry, Ryan, am I sharing? I can.
Sure, yeah. I thought it was better if it went on your computer.
Sure, just maybe give me a second then.
I'll keep talking while you bring that up. The difference between this and a broadcast, some of you might be familiar with that, is that the idea behind it is that all congregations, all worshiping communities are participating in the worship. It may be that it is lay-led in some locations. It may be that it is a part-time minister who is not working that particular Sunday. or maybe they do come out and join in the service. It really depends on the individual congregation. You're also, in general, not making a long-term commitment to being part of this. So it's really in the experimental phase. The one other thing going on, the one other part of this going on, is that we're looking at ways that the technology can also serve other parts of the church or our wider community. So an example, we did the World Day of Prayer this way last year for the Belleville area because it was a way to do it safely with COVID rules. One of the other hubs, Trinity United in Thunder Bay, during COVID, they'd been a site for a number of concerts that have gone on or events, bigger community events like the Symphony Chorus Christmas concert. They've also done a number of funerals. I was on bereavement leave because my father died, and so in order to respect COVID rules with a large family spread out from Edmonton to Halifax, it was really important that we have that broadcast from Pine Grove through the hub at Trinity, and we actually had over 700 people, I think, tune into that broadcast. So it really is amazing how people can connect. Originally, the program started, the idea was that there would be one hub initially in each regional council, and we would work specifically with congregations in the regional council. That is working in some places, like in the regional council that covers most of Manitoba, or all of Manitoba and part of Northwestern Ontario. Some others, because it's Southern Ontario, we have a lot of regional councils. There's some cross-boundary because, of course, the worship time is the key factor, as many of us will know. Whenever two churches want to work together, the question is, what time do you worship? And so if one hub is worshiping at 10 and other congregations worship at 10, they might connect better with that congregation, or if one's at 11 or 10:30, it would work out better that way. So right now, there's a lot of back and forth going on as we begin to work with different churches. Okay, here we go.
Welcome this morning. We begin now with the acknowledgement of the land.
For thousands of years, First Nations peoples have walked on this land. Their relationship with the land is at the center of their lives and spirituality. We are worshiping on the territory of the Fort William First Nation, signatory to the Robertson Superior Treaty of 1850. We give thanks to the...
We're ringing the bell at our church service, and I believe we are live with St. Mark's Canafton, and our service will begin with our prelude singing, hymn number 1 in more voices, which will also be on the screen, Let Us Build a House. We'll be singing verses 1, 4, and 5. Buried within each one of us is a peace that comes from Christ within. We take a breath now, crossing our arms across our chests, and center ourselves in that peace. Now, let us share the peace of Christ with each other by extending our arms. May the peace of Christ be with you. And just share that peace of Christ. May the peace of Christ be with you all, with those around you, with those in St. Mark's, with those who have joined us electronically. May the peace of Christ be with you all.
We light the Christ candle, a symbol of hope when life is gloomy, a symbol of our unity as one body in Christ.
Women farmers, like Barry, catalyze change. Practicing conservation agriculture produces thriving crops. It's not easy being a trailblazer, no matter where you live. Barry was the first farmer in her small Ethiopian village to practice conservation agriculture. A method of
So thank you to all those who contributed on the video clips. It was helpful for us to hear from different people here and there. So my message today focuses on this question. What does love of neighbor look like during a long COVID? Long COVID not being the disease, long COVID just meaning the long amount of time that we are living with a pandemic. According to
our offering today and every day is an act of love. We give from what we have and as we are able, but always we give in hope and faith and love.
Just to answer your question about the echo, yeah, there was a bit of an echo that one day. We're learning, there's a group of the tech team at St. Mark's has been attending a training session every Monday. They did every Monday for a couple hours for about 5 months. And then we have a network that continues while we work together. Okay, Beth is asking, how do you share finances? Well, right now, as we experiment, in fact, it's free to join in the experiment and to try. In the future, there's some financial issues to be worked out. The way it's worked for Trinity, I think they are charging $125 for the other churches that participate in that in their shared ministry, but it's going to vary across the country. It's also going to vary depending on the technology you have. The satellite boxes continue to be owned by the United Church of Canada, by the EDGE network, and so there's a rental with those, and there's a data fee as well. And right now that is covered by the United Church and the Regional Council, and St. Mark's isn't charging anything. We're really also hoping to find ways, again, to work with other community partners. How could we, for example, if we had an event and we wanted to bring together 3 smaller groups across our regional council to do one of these events in person, like we're doing today, using the satellite box system, we could do that. We could have 3 or 4 areas where people come together. Okay, how many Rural Connect teams are now in place in ECRC? So right now we're the one hub. I think St. Paul's Bowmanville is looking at becoming a hub, and I think there's some question about that in the background. There's the other hubs are all in other regional councils. Southampton, which is out on Lake Erie or Lake Huron, sorry. Trinity Thunder Bay, Marathon, St. John's, St. Paul's Midland, and McClure in Saskatoon, and Atlantic Garden in Manitoba, and they're continuing to expand to other regional councils.
Thank you, Ryan, for that introduction, and I'm sure that there'll be more questions coming your way in the future. You talked about the Thunder Bay experiment. One of the things that I thought was interesting there was one of the early churches involved did not have a minister, and it was lay leadership at their point that participated. But having regular worship attracted a larger congregation, and in time they were able to call a minister, and they decided that when they called the minister would have no worship responsibilities, that they would continue with the Rural Connect, and their minister would be exclusively for outreach and pastoral care. So it's a way of supplementing ministry in a variety of ways.
Right now, there's 2 congregations, Sheffield and Rockton, over by Cambridge, Ontario, and they just joined the hub with Southampton, and they are completely rewriting their profile because they see how they could do ministry differently and put a bigger emphasis on the person doing outreach in the community, because there's 12 hours a week, right?
Yeah. Okay, we're going to return to our breakout rooms for the rest of the evening. This will be really. My farewell to all of you.